My wife, Clara, never truly liked our daughter. In the 7 years since Lily was born, Clara had spent the better part of 6 of them on business trips, her presence in our home as fleeting as a shadow. When Lily fell gravely ill, I called her, my voice cracking with the desperation I could no longer contain. "Please," I begged, "come back. She needs you. She's not doing well." Her response was a blade of ice through the phone. "You can lie all you want," she said, her tone devoid of any warmth. "What a mess you've made of her. If she's dying, then let her die." Before the line went dead, I heard a child's voice in the background, a boy asking her to buy him a new toy. A bitter smile touched my lips. A moment later, a weak, small voice whispered from the pillow beside me. "Daddy, it's okay." Our daughter died on her 7th birthday, and Clara, the woman who had resented her most, completely lost her mind. Our marriage was barely a year old when Lily came into the world. She was a healthy, robust baby, weighing over 8 pounds, and the delivery was so strenuous it nearly caused Clara to faint. I remember the overwhelming worry I felt for her then, the fear that clenched my heart. But that concern seemed to be a one-way street. Before Lily had even reached her 1st birthday, Clara had stopped nursing, packed her bags, and rushed back to the city to take over her father's expanding business. Our lives diverged from that point on. We would barely cross paths, 2 ships passing in the night. The warmth of our early days together evaporated, leaving a cold and distant marriage in its wake. For a long time, I convinced myself that she resented Lily because of the difficult birth, that the physical pain had created an emotional barrier. It was a simpler, kinder explanation than the truth I would later uncover. She couldn't leave to be with her lover because she was pregnant with my child. I overheard her true feelings one night after I picked her up from a business dinner where she'd had too much to drink. As I helped her out of her shoes, she began to complain, her words slurring together in a venomous stream. "If it weren't for you, I never would have gotten pregnant. I hate you." Her resentment wasn't limited to me. "And my father," she spat. "All he cares about is his precious company. It was just bad luck. Because I couldn't terminate the pregnancy back then, I'm stuck for the rest of my life." Whenever she spoke like this, I would just hold her, wrapping my arms around her tightly. I held on to the belief that if she truly hadn't wanted our child, Lily would not have been born safely. It was a flimsy shield, but it was all I had. Now, standing in the sterile quiet of a hospital, that resolve was beginning to waver. I hadn't seen Clara in weeks when she suddenly appeared. I was at the hospital pharmacy, picking up a new prescription for Lily, when I saw her down the long, cold hallway. My throat tightened, and the words caught in my chest. The fluorescent lighting made her look weary, but I knew instantly that this fatigue had nothing to do with our daughter. "Sam, does your head still hurt?" she asked, her voice dripping with a tenderness I had never heard before. She was doting on a little boy, her hand gently stroking his hair. I never knew she possessed such a maternal side. Apparently, our own daughter was not worthy of it. The bag of medicine in my hand suddenly felt impossibly heavy. I wanted to turn and walk away, to disappear before she saw me. But it was too late. Her eyes met mine, and for a fleeting second, a flicker of guilt crossed her face before it was replaced by a familiar mask of accusation. "What are you doing at the hospital?" Why was I at the hospital? The question was so absurd, it almost made me laugh. I had called her dozens of times that month, but her line was always busy. Knowing how demanding her work was, I had resorted to texting, simple messages pleading for her to return. "Lily isn't well. Can you please come back and see her?" Her replies were impatient, laced with irritation. "She's getting better at lying, isn't she? Learned that from you. Always deliberately hurting herself to get my attention. I manage millions of dollars every minute, and the two of you act so irresponsibly." She genuinely believed that Lily and I were conspiring against her, playing cruel tricks to manipulate her. Even now, seeing me here, she couldn't fathom the truth. It took me a long moment to find my voice. "Why are you here?" I asked, my own question echoing hers. Ignoring my query, she replied flatly, "Sam has a headache. I brought him in for a checkup." It was just that simple for her. I hadn't even had a chance to speak, but it was obvious she had no desire to engage with me, treating me like a stranger she'd unfortunately run into. She took the boy's hand, her voice softening once more. "Let's go, Sam. You shouldn't eat so much ice cream at once, okay? If something happens to you, your dad would be terribly upset." For the first time in 7 years, I felt my heart truly shatter, an unbearable pain spreading through my chest. I had always been so afraid of failing in my duties as a husband and a father, always bending to her will, obeying her every word. But once that man had returned to her life, everything I had done became worthless. Matters of the heart, I realized, were nothing more than my own wishful thinking. I could accept that for myself, but why did she have to shut our daughter out completely? I walked quietly back to Lily's room. She looked small and frail in the large hospital bed. A nurse mentioned that she had been calling for her mom in her sleep. That was all it took. A new wave of determination washed over me. I hurried out of the room, resolved to find Clara and bring her to our daughter's bedside. But as I reached the hospital entrance, I saw a man in an expensive, custom-tailored suit opening a car door for Clara and the little boy. The way they moved together, the easy familiarity in their interactions, was unmistakable. They looked like a family of 3. I was frozen to the spot, stunned into silence. Before getting into the car, Clara glanced back, a seemingly random look over her shoulder. Her eyes locked with mine. I'm certain she saw me, and I'm just as certain she saw the pleading in my expression. But in the next second, she turned away decisively and slipped into the car, which then drove away. Feeling completely lost, I returned to Lily's side. Her eyes were moist as she looked up at me. "Daddy, was Mommy here? Why didn't you wake me up?" I hugged her tiny body, my emotions a tangled mess. I didn't know how to respond, what lie I could possibly tell her. "Daddy, I miss Mommy," she whispered, her small hand clutching the fabric of my shirt. "When will she come back?" I looked down at my own hands, realizing with a jolt that it had been 2 weeks since she and Lily had last seen each other. She was at an age where she needed her mother more than anything, and I was a useless father, incapable of giving her the complete family she deserved. Taking a deep breath, I tried to keep my voice steady. "Mommy will come to see you soon, sweetheart. She misses you too. She just has some very important things to take care of right now. You be a good girl, and once she's finished, she'll come right away." Lily nodded weakly. "I'll be good, Daddy. I'm not lying to Mommy this time. Look, I'm really sick. The nurse said my illness is very serious. Mommy will definitely come back, right?" Seeing the clear, unwavering hope in her eyes tore my heart to shreds. She was just a child, not yet 7 years old, and yet she had to go to such lengths just to earn a shred of her mother's attention. The video Clara had seen didn't tell the whole story. Our daughter had received a perfect score on a school test and wanted nothing more than to share the news with her mother. But when she tried to video call, Clara was too busy and quickly ended the conversation. Lily, knowing about the real-time monitoring cameras in our house, climbed onto a table to proudly display the big A on her paper, hoping her mom would see it remotely. When there was still no response, she jumped down in frustration and ended up twisting her ankle. The swelling brought Clara rushing back, and for 2 days Lily was ecstatic to have both her parents at home. But then Clara saw the security footage and immediately concluded that our daughter had injured herself on purpose just to get her attention. She connected it to other minor incidents, weaving a narrative of a manipulative, flawed child. She turned on me, the stay-at-home father. "Is this how you raise a child? How can she be so deceitful at such a young age? What kind of future will she have?" I tried to explain, to defend Lily, but Clara covered her daughter's ears and issued a chilling warning to me. "If you ever let her use a trick like that to get my attention again, I will divorce you." The word divorces terrified me. I had poured every ounce of my being into nurturing their mother-daughter relationship, into giving Lily the complete family I thought she needed. Thinking about it now, I weakly held my daughter's small hand, wanting to tell her the truth, that her mother wouldn't care even if she was gravely ill. But I couldn't bring myself to say the words. Years ago, someone had drugged Clara. The drug was potent, and on the frantic drive to the hospital, she had clung to me, her body burning with a desperate passion. She grabbed my hand, begging me for help, and in that moment, how could I refuse? She was, after all, the woman I had always dreamed of. The hospital was still far away, and I worried that delaying could cause her permanent harm. What began as hesitation quickly turned into a fierce, consuming passion that one night resulted in a tiny new life. At the time, Clara's great love, Victor, had just returned to the country and was planning to take her away with him. But the day before they were set to leave, they discovered she was pregnant. Victor, feeling betrayed, left in a rage. Clara wanted to terminate the pregnancy, but her deeply superstitious parents forbade it. It was then that I stepped in, begging, practically tearing out my own heart and soul to earn the right to care for her and the child for a lifetime. She had been cold to me ever since our wedding day, but whenever I remembered the passion she had shown that night, I held on to the belief that I could eventually warm her frozen heart. Before Lily was born, I took care of her in every conceivable way. I never let nannies or housekeepers do anything I could handle myself. Whatever she wanted to eat, no matter how complicated the recipe, I learned how to make it, ensuring it was served to her hot and fresh. If there was an activity she enjoyed, no matter how busy I was, I squeezed out the time to join her. I never wanted her to see any emptiness or regret in my eyes. After Lily was born, I felt even more confident. Our daughter looked so much like her, with the same delicate features, chubby cheeks, and impossibly adorable eyes. Even strangers on the street couldn't resist cooing over her. But when I brought our newborn child to Clara as she lay in the delivery bed, she just glanced at her briefly. "What a pity," she murmured. "She looks exactly like you." Then she turned her face away and fell asleep, without a single hint of the excitement or happiness a new mother should feel. I was so terrified she was suffering from postpartum depression that I stayed by her side constantly. I had always believed it was unfair to tie a woman down with a child, so I had made a promise to myself that if one day she wanted to leave, I wouldn't stop her. But until that day came, being good to her and our daughter was my only choice. Life and intentions, I thought, were that simple. I quickly learned that my simplicity was just wishful thinking. She hated me, and by extension, she hated our daughter, the child who was irrevocably connected to me. Victor came back 3 months ago, and I had braced myself for Clara to ask for a divorce. Surprisingly, she didn't. Instead, she said, "Take good care of our daughter at home. I'll send you money on time." I was already taking care of our daughter full-time. It was an unnecessary remark, a way of asserting her control. But she never gave me any room to refute her words. During Lily's second week in the hospital, her doctor suggested we start focusing on doing things she wanted to do in her final days. Swallowing my pride, I called Clara again. "Hey, Lily wants to talk to you. Can you just listen for a minute?" There was a brief, heavy silence on the other end of the line. Finally, her cold voice came through. "Okay, let her speak." I carefully handed the phone to my daughter. She took it with trembling hands. "Mommy," she whispered, "I've always wanted you. I know you're busy, but can you come see me?" After a moment, it was clear Clara was distracted, busy with something else. "What did you say?" she asked, her voice distant. Lily's voice now had a tearful tremor. "Mommy, I said I miss you. In the time I have left, can you stay with me?" There was another long silence. I watched my daughter nervously, my heart aching with the fear that she would be let down once again. Finally, Clara spoke. "Okay, Mommy will try to arrange some time to see you, but if you lie again, Mommy will pretend you don't exist." Lily looked both wronged and immensely happy to hear this response, and for me, it was absolutely heartbreaking. Then Clara had Lily hand the phone back to me and immediately started scolding me. "I thought you said you couldn't focus on our daughter. I already spoke to your boss. I had you fired." I forced a smile, a sudden, crushing weariness washing over me. I'm a programmer. When Lily was born, I had applied to work from home, and I had been fully prepared to quit if my boss didn't agree. But he didn't want to lose a valuable tech expert, so he approved my request. However, Clara interpreted working from home as not focusing on our daughter. She had once caught me playing a video game while Lily was napping and had never let it go. She barely cared about what happened in our home, yet she brought it up every single time we spoke. Normally, I would patiently explain that I was just taking a short break and was always there for Lily the moment she was awake. But now, I didn't have the energy to say even a single word in my own defense. "Whatever," I replied wearily. Her patience, already limited, was clearly gone. "I have to go to City B this week," she said coldly. "Soothe our daughter. I'll visit her when I get back." To ensure Lily could hear her mother's voice, I had left the phone on speaker. Suddenly, the happy expression on Lily's face faded completely. She couldn't help but ask, her voice small, "Mommy, aren't you coming to see me now?" Sensing the change in mood, Clara offered a clipped explanation. "If my plans change, Mommy will return. Be obedient or Mommy won't want you anymore." Though her lip was pouting, my daughter didn't throw a tantrum. She had been told by her mother never to be noisy. I reassured her as best I could. Facing my phone, I said, "You go do your thing." Clara's patience had run out. She hung up faster than I could. While I was packing some of Lily's clothes to take to the hospital, Clara unexpectedly came home. Her appearances had become such rare events that they always felt like surprises. No matter how much disappointment I felt, seeing her in person always had a way of melting the resentment that had built up in my heart. It seemed to vanish in an instant. I habitually walked toward her, my hands outstretched to take the bag from her hand, a gesture I had performed 1,000 times, but this time she sidestepped me, avoiding my touch. I froze on the spot, feeling as though a bucket of ice-cold water had been dumped over my head. Is this really the wife I know? The one who would at least accept my goodwill, even if she didn't love me? It seemed she truly didn't need me anymore, not even for the simplest of courtesies. I looked at the sharp outline of her face. The softness that had once captivated me now seemed utterly indifferent. "Why did you come back?" I asked cautiously. Clara didn't respond. She just kept walking, moving past me as if I were invisible. I saw her stop at Lily's bedroom door, and I hurried to catch up, wanting to explain to her that our daughter wasn't there. "Forget it," she said flatly. "If she's asleep, don't wake her." I was about to tell her that Lily was in the hospital when her phone rang. "Hello? Sam fell? I'll be right there, don't worry." She completely ignored me standing there. In her rush to leave, she grazed past my shoulder, sending a sharp pang through my heart. Lily's condition was acute, and it had been 2 agonizing months since we had first discovered it. Seeing her small body suffer from the constant pain was heartbreaking. After a couple of days of her clinging to life, I decided I had to confront Clara face to face. I found her in her beautifully decorated office. She was sitting there, gently blowing on a spoonful of hot porridge before feeding it to the little boy named Sam. This was the kind of gentle, motherly love that our daughter had only ever dreamed of receiving. I had always thought of Clara as composed, strong, and not particularly emotional. Apparently, she just chose who she was that way with. Watching them, a wave of raw emotion surged through my heart. Clara looked up and saw me standing in the doorway. Her eyes, which had been so warm a moment ago, turned icy. "Why aren't you at home taking care of your daughter? What are you doing here?" The corners of my lips turned up into a bitter smile. "So you do remember you have a daughter." "Clara, is this your man?" A man's voice interjected, cutting off my words. I looked coldly at him. It was Victor. "Leo, don't get the wrong idea," he said smoothly. "Clara and I are just friends, and Sam really likes Clara too." His smile was meant to be an explanation, but it was clearly a way of staking his claim. I couldn't believe that Clara wouldn't see through his charade, but she didn't react at all. "Daddy, you're here," the boy said sweetly, wrapping his arms around Clara's neck. "Mommy treats me so well. I want to live with her from now on." Clara instinctively shrank back from his touch, her eyes moving past me and settling on Victor, not looking away. By now I had pieced together most of the story. My heart felt like it was being hammered into dust, but I remained rational, refusing to explode on the spot. Before Victor had returned, I stumbled upon Clara's phone in the study, which she had forgotten to take with her. A notification had popped up with an unread message, and I couldn't stop myself from opening it. The message was simple. "I'm back." Those 2 words had cut into my heart like a sharp knife. Despite feeling a deep sense of unease, I didn't want unfounded suspicion to ruin the fragile calm that was slowly returning to our marriage. But now, it was finally over. I had always viewed my wife through a filter, believing that while she didn't love me or our daughter, she was a person of principles. As long as we were not divorced, I thought she wouldn't cheat. She had always held the upper hand in our relationship from start to finish. But now I realized I had severely underestimated human nature. Once I accepted this reality, the anger inside me simply burned out. The atmosphere in the office turned thick and awkward. Victor eventually broke the tension. "Sam, didn't Daddy tell you not to call people randomly?" "It's okay," Clara said, her eyes full of a warmth she couldn't hide. "Sam is so well-behaved and sweet. I've always wanted a child just like him." Victor smiled. "Clara, you're so good to Sam. He's lucky to have you." They continued to ignore my presence, not caring in the slightest why I was there. Knowing it was pointless to stay any longer, I turned and left. Initially, I had come to ask her to take some time off work, to spend the last 2 months of our daughter's life with her. Now I saw there was no need. She didn't love our daughter. She loved Sam. When Lily was 3 years old, she started kindergarten. Her drawing in art class was so good that it was posted on the school's most prominent bulletin board. It was a picture of a smiling dad, a pouting mom, and herself holding both of their hands. Seeing it, Clara criticized our 3-year-old. "Is this how you see me?" she had asked, her voice sharp. "But honey," I had tried to explain, "have you ever shown her a kind face? Kids are so imaginative at that age." But Clara just started scolding me again. "She's your responsibility. What do you tell her behind my back? She drew me this way because you put these ideas in her head." I stayed silent, not wanting to argue in front of our daughter. When she was 6, she started 1st grade. The teacher announced that they would be commending the students who placed highest in the recent exam at the upcoming parent-teacher meeting. Lily was ranked first in her class, and she begged her teacher to make sure that this time her dad couldn't fill in for her mom. The teacher, sympathetic to the child's plight, agreed immediately. "Clara, could you please clear your schedule to come to the school's parent meeting on Wednesday?" I overheard the teacher asking on the phone when I picked Lily up from school. I looked at our daughter's hopeful little face and silently prayed that my wife wouldn't decline. Just this once would be enough. I didn't hear an outright refusal and began to feel hopeful. Then, on Wednesday, I still got her message. "Something came up at the last minute. You'll have to attend Lily's meeting." Although I had hoped for a different outcome, I was not surprised. I was just worried that Lily would be even more disappointed when she found out. As I walked up to her school, I was surprised to see Clara's black car parked out front. My eyes widened with anticipation, but it was her assistant who stepped out of the car. "This is from the boss for the teacher," the assistant said, handing over an expensive-looking gift. "The boss wanted me to have a word with the teacher. The kid's a handful. Her behavior is lacking, and she's tough to manage. Sorry for all the trouble. You can criticize her all you need to at this meeting. She's naughty, so go ahead and paddle her if you must. Don't bother giving Clara any slack." I was stunned, watching this unfold. I felt sick for my daughter. If Clara couldn't make it, that was one thing, but to send her assistant with such a cruel and dismissive message was beyond comprehension. The teacher, clearly flustered, looked awkward and confused. I saw her open her mouth to explain, but the assistant had already turned and left. I walked towards my daughter's classroom, catching the sound of the teacher's heavy sigh as I passed. When Lily saw me, her eyes lit up with delight. "Dad, you came!" she exclaimed, running over and hugging me. I forced a smile, though I felt a bitter taste in my mouth. I knew she was hoping to see her mom, not me, but she buried her disappointment deep down. "See? Isn't my daughter such a sweet and well-behaved kid?" When we got home, Clara was already waiting in the living room. As soon as she saw me, she stood up, her expression cold. "What did the teacher say? What terrible thing did she do this time that needed my personal attention?" I looked at her, knowing we needed to have a serious talk. But in the next second, she checked her watch. "I can't, no time. I've got a client appointment. We'll talk about this later." I had thought maybe she had come back for Lily, or even just to scold her, but no, she was just home to pick something up. My daughter clutched her academic award tightly and walked to her tiny room, looking utterly dejected. At 7 years old, she passed away in a hospital bed. Before she did, I painfully recorded her last few moments. Barely conscious, she mumbled, "Dad, Mom said she'd come to take me home. Is she here?" At that, I dropped my phone and hugged her tightly, holding her until her small body turned cold. Today was her 7th birthday. The doctor said she had lost the will to live, otherwise, she wouldn't have gone so soon. On her birthday, everyone had wished her happiness, but she wasn't happy. Her mother had forgotten. She waited until 9 o'clock that night, feeling increasingly unwell, before finally calling her mom. The voice on the other end of the line sounded tired and annoyed. "Why are you calling me this late? Where's your father? How is he looking after you?" She didn't know it would be the last call she would ever make to her mother. If Clara had known, would she have spoken differently? "Mommy, will you come see me? Do you remember what today is?" Lily asked, her voice faint. "I told you my schedule might change, didn't I? Can't you be more sensible? We'll talk when I get home." Beep. After her mom hung up, my daughter slipped into a series of comas and quietly passed away in my arms. I gazed blankly at her lifeless face and, strangely, felt a sense of relief. Her short life had been so exhausting. There wasn't a single day I didn't wish I could trade my own life for even the slightest bit of attention for her from her mother. She deserved so much better. After she was gone, the house felt instantly, crushingly empty. I stared at her photo on the mantelpiece, her once smiling face now only visible in memories. Surely she was in a place now free of pain and suffering, living freely. I just hoped she wouldn't have to deal with negligent parents like us in her next life. A few days later, Clara seemed to remember something and began bombarding me with messages, all of them filled with blame. You didn't remind me of her birthday. What use are you to me? Were you trying to create a disconnect between me and our daughter? I used to remind her about everything, more reliably than any assistant, especially when it came to Lily. Her favorite color for dresses, her shoe size, her friends' names, her birthday, and the gifts she wished for. It turns out that without my constant reminders, she knew nothing at all. When I didn't reply, another message came through. Leo, can't you grow up? Wasn't it you who told me to focus on my career? Shouldn't you be handling things at home then? Do you have any idea how much effort it takes to expand a business, making myself sick from drinking with clients? My in-laws had both passed away 2 years ago. Now our daughter was gone, and I was trying to figure out how to break the news to her when a call came in. I thought it might be about compensating for Lily's forgotten birthday gift, but instead, I got an earful of complaints, mostly blaming me for not understanding her and for causing trouble for her in the past. I would usually wait for her to finish her rant before speaking, but as I was about to talk, it sounded like someone grabbed the phone from her hand. I heard a child's voice in the background, insistent. "Mom, you promised you would be with me. Why are you on the phone?" "Sam, be good. Pass me the phone." "No!" I could sense the kid was stubborn, reluctant to hand the phone back. But Clara was uncharacteristically patient, gently coaxing him. Silently, I hung up and blocked her contact information everywhere. A month later, she came back. As I looked at her standing in the doorway, I felt an indifference I had never felt before. Thinking of my daughter, still so small and so fond of her mom, I had once vowed not to be the one to initiate a divorce unless Clara brought it up first. Now, the thought of divorce was not just a possibility, but an inevitability. "Leo, are you crazy?" she started, launching straight into a scolding session. "Ignoring my messages, unreachable by phone. Can we even live like this?" She didn't even realize our daughter was gone. Oh, she probably just assumed Lily was still at school. Unfazed, I continued packing my bags. This house, a wedding gift from my father-in-law, carried both of our names. For the divorce, I wouldn't keep it. She could have it all. "Where's our daughter?" she demanded, seeing that I wasn't reacting to her tirade. She stopped nagging and put down an expensive-looking set of building blocks on the coffee table. "Our daughter doesn't even like building blocks. I've told her that 100 times. My wife was used to the obedient, quiet me. It was like she didn't expect me to talk back, and her face looked a bit sour. Are you trying to start a fight? I came back a week early. Who do you think I did that for? And you blocked me with our daughter's help? What are you two up to? I guess I should never have left her with you, learning all the wrong things." I didn't respond to her complaints, just said coldly, "So what? You think you messed up raising our daughter, so now you're going to double your efforts on your son?" That seemed to hit a nerve. Her face turned pale with anger. "Leo, that's not what this is about." An ill-timed doorbell rang. It was Victor. "Leo, I'm sorry for the unexpected visit. Am I interrupting?" His words were polite, but his eyes showed not a hint of an apology. He walked in without waiting for an invitation, his son Sam tagging along behind him. "Mommy!" The sweet-talking little boy darted straight into Clara's arms. She hadn't expected them, and glanced at Victor, frowning. "Didn't you say you wouldn't come over here?" "Sam kept asking to see you. I couldn't say no," Victor replied smoothly. Before he even finished speaking, his son spotted the set of building blocks Clara had brought home. "Mom, is this for me?" "Thanks, Mom." No, it's not." Before Clara could explain, Victor cut in. "Go play over there, Sam." The little boy took the toy and left the three of us adults alone. Seeing this father-son duo barge in so uninvited, my patience finally snapped. I lunged at Victor, landing a solid punch across his face. "Couldn't you wait 2 more days?" My eyes were full of a rage that startled both Victor and Clara. "Leo, what's wrong with you? There's a child here!" she yelled, standing between us to prevent another fight. I locked eyes with her. "Let's get a divorce. Then you can be with them." She paused for a moment, and Victor quickly wrapped a protective arm around her shoulder. Even after taking a hit, the smug look on his face told me he thought he had won. "Leo, don't get so worked up," he said. "As a father yourself, you know how much kids miss their moms. I couldn't bear it either, so I brought Sam over." I had already started moving my stuff out. I didn't want any more drama with them. I turned to leave. Clara grabbed my hand and whispered, "Sam calls me Mom, because he lost his mother when he was very young. Don't get the wrong idea." I ignored her, quietly heading to the bedroom to retrieve the rest of my things. A notification popped up on my phone. It was an email containing a parentage test result between my wife and Sam. I stared blankly at the door, spotting Victor with a phone in his hand, a triumphant look on his face, asserting his twisted victory. I felt my blood run cold. The next day, knowing there were still some of Lily's things I needed to collect, I went back to the house. As soon as I opened the door, a ceramic mug shattered against the wall right beside my head. "You know how to come back home, do you? Leo, you're too old for running away like this." She wasn't her usual polished, put-together self. She looked worn out and weary, as one would expect from someone her age who had been through so much. "Where is our daughter?" she demanded. She seemed to have stayed home all day, but I hadn't returned, and neither had Lily. She had finally lost her cool. "Are you trying to use her as leverage in our divorce? I'm telling you, you're dreaming. Give me my daughter, and then you can do whatever you want with your life." Her incessant shouting made my head throb. Flatly, I replied, "I never thought of it that way." Surprised by my calm demeanor, she too cooled down a bit. "Then why didn't you bring her back?" Hearing the faint nervousness in her voice made me smirk inside. I silently went over to the living room cabinet and took out our daughter's small, polished wooden urn. "You want to know where she is? Right here, in this box." She froze, her eyes wide with disbelief, her lips trembling, unable to make a sound. "Did you kill her?" she finally managed to say, her voice thick with accusation. "You killed her!" "It was you who stripped her of the will to live," I shot back. "If you hadn't abandoned her, she might have hung on until you came back. You left her to flounder in loneliness and pain, forcing her hand." Incredulous, she looked at me, then broke down, covering her face and crying. Suddenly she lashed out, grabbing the collar of my shirt. "Is this some sick act? Where did you hide our daughter? Give her back to me!" I let out a short, harsh laugh and threw our daughter's death certificate on the coffee table in front of her. Her pupils contracted as she desperately scanned the document, trying to find any sign that it was a fake. You did this." Her face drained of all color, the words failing her. "This can't be. You never told me how she was." I gave a bitter smile. She seemed to have forgotten a lot, but none of it mattered now. Gently holding the urn, I glanced at her one last time. "I ignored your calls, your messages. I told you about her symptoms, how long she had left, everything. You dismissed it all as a trick. You didn't even care enough to see her one last time. What gives you the right to crumble now?" She shook at my words, looking lost and helpless, as if she had lost her path in life. "My lawyer will be in touch about the divorce," I said. Without looking back, I left. Seeing her there, I realized I didn't need to hurry packing up Lily's room. Let her see everything. Let the guilt consume her forever. That night she sent me a flood of voice messages, begging me to come back. I could tell she had been drinking heavily. Reluctantly, I went back to see what kind of stunt she was trying to pull. Returning to what was once our cold, silent home, I found her lying on the couch. The room was filled with Lily's belongings. Her diary, though messy, had the word Mom written on countless pages. Lily had drawn lots of pictures, each one featuring a smiling version of her mother. Every time my daughter felt inspired, she would make a little craft for her mom, though she never got the chance to give any of them away. Then there was the photo album I had put together for her. Except for the sneaky photos I had taken, there wasn't a single proper picture of the two of them together. In just half a day, Clara looked exhausted, a shell of her former self. When she saw me, she ran to me, seeking comfort. She was no longer the high and mighty queen she used to be. "I'm sorry for neglecting you both," she sobbed. "What did our daughter say before she left? Please, tell me." I pulled out my phone and showed her the video of Lily murmuring to herself in her hospital bed. "Daddy, I think I hear something. Is Mom here to pick me up? Daddy, if Mommy isn't here, maybe she's just stuck in traffic. Please don't blame her. You and Mom should be good to each other. Daddy, Mom must be really tired from work. That's why she forgot to wish me a happy birthday. It's okay." Her already swollen eyes welled up with tears again, and she collapsed to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. "I don't want to leave," she cried, clinging to me. "It's always been you that I love. I just couldn't accept it. I could have left with him back then. I love our daughter, but seeing her face was a constant reminder of how close I came to what I thought was happiness, and I just couldn't accept it. I've realized now that all I want is right here. Don't leave me. I won't agree to the divorce." I slowly pried her hands from my arm, my gaze resolute. "We've come too far to turn back." She looked at me, her eyes teary, as if she couldn't believe what she was hearing. "You've got some nerve, don't you, asking for a divorce?" she scoffed, a bitter, self-mocking smile on her face. "Wasn't it all of you who ruined my life? Now I have nothing." "No," I said quietly. "You once had my loyalty and our daughter's unconditional kindness, but you took it all for granted." I glanced back at the house that used to echo with our daughter's laughter. "Back then," I said, my voice flat, "Victor was the one who planned for you to take those pills. Knowing your dad wouldn't approve of him, he went for a desperate gamble. He got held up unexpectedly that night. If I hadn't gotten there in time, we would have lost you. Your father wanted to tell you the truth before he passed away, but you were too stubborn to come back, and you missed it." I walked away without turning back. I had finally let go. As I turned, I heard her desperate cries behind me. A week later, she asked me to meet her at a cafe near my office to talk about the divorce. She said not to bring a lawyer, or she would make things difficult for me. I agreed, wanting to get it over with as quickly as possible. I was surprised when Victor showed up first, still looking sharp, but nowhere near as confident as before. "Leo, what did you tell Clara?" he demanded, nearly sprinting over the moment he saw me, like a man on a mission. But I wasn't afraid. What was he going to do, stand up to two of my punches? As I opened my mouth to speak, Clara appeared, quickly shoving Victor aside as if to protect me. "What are you doing here?" Oh, she was cross with him. Had they fallen out already? Victor shot me a dirty look, but spoke quickly to Clara. "Clara, haven't you been waiting for me all this time? Sam loves you so much. Can't you be his mom? You never cared about your own daughter anyway. What's the big deal if she's gone?" Smack! The slap resounded through the quiet cafe as 5 red fingerprints appeared on Victor's cheek. He was dumbfounded. "You hit me?" he whispered, his eyes wide. Victor, we're done, Clara said, her voice like steel. And my daughter was a part of my life. I never cared for your son. Victor's expression shifted from anger to shock, then to spite when he glanced my way, as if he wished me ill. What did I do? He asked, taking a few steps back and pointing an accusing finger at Clara. So you've been lying to me all these years? I loved you, Clara cut him off. But you only ever wanted what you wanted. You never once considered my feelings. Who are you to think you can keep playing games? You sent Leo a photo with a fake paternity test, and I know it. I've had enough. Don't let me see you again. Her power was intimidating. Victor clenched his fists, trying to manage his rage. I might have enjoyed the scene, but the security that Clara had called dragged Victor away. Before he left, he screamed, red-eyed, calling me names. Leo, who do you think you are? Clara waited for me. I'm the real winner here. You don't deserve her. His words flowed in one ear and out the other. I turned to the matter at hand. I can take less, and you can choose the conditions, but the divorce needs to be signed now. I want no more ties with you from now on. Clara wanted to keep our daughter's things, but at just 7, Lily had very little. Not much besides a closet full of dresses, bags, and shoes bought by her mom, left unused as if they never had an owner. Since starting first grade, our daughter had worn nothing but her school uniform, yet her mom never even asked. The fancy, expensive stuff was always sent by her assistant, regardless of whether our daughter liked it or ever wore it. In the end, Clara did stall the proceedings. Meanwhile, I was busy with my new startup, and time flew by. We kept in touch only over the divorce specifics, and I noticed she was changing. One day she sent a message saying the papers were ready for me to sign and that I should get them from her office. I waited downstairs for a while, only to figure out that the company had changed owners. Victor, after losing his claim on Clara's shares, had finally snapped and gone on a rampage looking for her. He had yelled, "Let her come out to see me! There's no way she's breaking up with me just like that!" But Clara wasn't indulging his foul temper. Before the transition of power at the company was even complete, she had gotten the PR department involved. She was determined to take Victor down, even if it meant dragging herself into the fray. No one knew that digging into Victor's background would be so easy. Very soon it came to light that years ago, Victor's parents had pushed him into drugging Clara with the intention of taking over her family's assets. My former father-in-law had uncovered the truth long ago and had solid evidence, but he had kept it all quiet out of respect for his daughter's feelings and to spare my own. When I dug a little deeper, I found out something even more explosive. Clara had sold off all her shares to a company veteran who had been her father's lifelong friend. Then, she had donated all of that money to charity in our daughter's name. She hadn't been to the office in a long time, so why would she want to meet me here? I was puzzled. With no sign of her, I was about to leave when Clara's old assistant came over and handed me the divorce papers. "This is from Clara for you," she said. I thanked her and was about to go when she added, "You should go visit the hospital. Clara is about to go." "Does that have anything to do with me?" I replied in an eerily calm voice. "Can you really be this heartless?" she asked. "She wore herself out for you and your daughter. Doesn't that stir anything in you?" I glanced at the assistant with a flicker of amusement. My daughter had suffered beyond words and had left this world in pain. Even if Clara were torn to pieces, it wouldn't be enough to atone for that. I turned and sent Clara a message. "See you at the Civil Affairs office tomorrow." I didn't care if she was bedridden or faking it. We were getting divorced before she died, period. After a long time, she replied, "Pick me up at the hospital tomorrow." She sent me the location. The next day at the hospital, she was already dressed and waiting. She looked much thinner, but there was a glimmer of light in her eyes when she saw me, as if I were her beacon in the darkness. "You actually came?" she said softly. "I knew you couldn't let me go." Before I could speak, her eyes dimmed again, and she mocked herself. "Oh, right. You came to take me to get a divorce. She seemed lifeless, like a hollow shell of a person. Once it was done, I threw myself back into my work, cutting off all remaining ties. There was nothing left to connect us. When the news broke of Clara's suicide, I had just closed a new, major project. At the celebration dinner, my business partners were chatting away. What a pity. Clara was a rare business genius. Her business model is in textbooks. Her father wasn't half the professional she was. But what a downfall. After the divorce, they say she lost her mind. She started hanging around an elementary school, claiming she was there to pick up her daughter. But her daughter had long since passed away. Apparently, in her final moments, she was trapped in nightmares, kept calling for Lily to wait for her. Then she would burst into tears, saying Lily wouldn't wait for her anymore. My fingers paused as I was lighting a cigarette. Lily. That was my daughter's name,